like to bother people. I love it. Good morning and happy birthday again. What? No. Yeah, you should have the new one. Where, oh, you brought that from your house? Where'd you get the one you have in your hand? So there's a new one this week. I don't know. Where's the new handouts? There they come. See? Oh. Okay. Hello. We live in strange times. That's the way it has to be. It's the same cover. Stop it. Look. It's the same cover, but if you open it up, it's different things. Hi. Hi. Charlie, hi. Who's that, Matthew? Hey, welcome. Shalom Aleichem. You got nothing to do today? Okay. That's a long way, yes. We'll get there. All right. Hiya, Jackie. Hi, Gene and Marilyn. How are you guys? How are things way up north?
We are in Ainsley, in Florida.
You're in Ainsley, Florida? Oh, okay.
We're here.
Hi, Trina. How are you? How are things for you way up north?
I'm sorry, I'm waiting for a phone call that I've been waiting for half an hour, so I might have to leave for a minute.
Okay.
But I will be back. Oh, I think they're there.
Hey, Pauline, you made it. See the wonders of modern science.
Good morning, Marty.
Is that Esther behind the mask? Esther? Yeah, hi. Hard to tell. I walked home the other day from Costco. I got in the car. I was driving home. Got home. The lady sitting next to me took off my mask. I didn't even know it wasn't my wife. So it's hard to tell. Hard to tell.
0002.
It's all right.
0816.
Morning, Marty.
Good morning.
Was macht Ayid?
Ayid macht Geld.
Abi gesund.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I'm doing okay. I have a condition called myelofibrosis, which is a blood cancer. And it's like a very, I'm like extreme anemia. So I tire very easily. But thank God I'm above the grass.
Good. That's what it's all about.
My wife is my right and left hand. Cherna has been helping me tremendously. I also have macular degeneration, so I can't read, but I can see people.
Notice you said your wife is your right hand and your left hand, but you didn't say she's your brains.
Well, you know, I didn't hear what you said. Say that again.
I see you said that your wife is your right hand and your left hand, but you didn't say she's your brains.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that too. That too. That too. Well, I'll tell you, you know, our name, I'm still trying to find out. There was a Rav Shalom Kowalski. We're the Kowalskis. And I don't know where he came from. Do you have any idea where he came from?
Who?
Rav Shalom Kowalski, he was,
Shalom Kowalski was beside my Kedushin. He married me in Sandra.
really?
Really.
Yeah, so we don't know if he's related to us.
Lived into his, I think, early 90s, and he died in Eretz Yisrael.
Right, we know that. But the thing is, did he come from Lithuania originally? My father, Olav Shalom, came from Lithuania. He was a
Well, that
Lithuanian.
I don't know. I met him in Queens in the community of Hillcrest. He was my wife's Rav, and he was also what you call my father-in-law, my in-law's Rav, and he was the Rav of the Young Israel of Hillcrest. And that's where I met him. Where he came from, his background, I don't know. That walk looks like it's a Mr. Carpel. Am I right?
And you know, I've asked many people, no one has told me where he came from.
Mr. Carpel and I have a very interesting history, right?
Someone believes he's a distant relative of ours, but I can't trace it. And I've tried for a couple of years, and so far everybody says I don't know where he came from.
Anyhow, I'll talk to you later about it, all right?
Yes,
You
good
want to call
luck.
me up on the phone, maybe call my wife, she knows more about him than I do.
Yeah,
But he was beside the
thank you. Thank you for conducting this great class you have.
I appreciate it.
They got the taxes.
All right, I want to start in about a minute. It's time.
Are we ready now?
Yeah.
I don't know, how do I tell?
I think it's his connection.
Let me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 so far. Last week I went down the whole column and then some. I think people are still clocking in. So Rabbi Carpel, tell us, what made you come down here? You follow me around again, or your brother lives here? Uh-huh. Very good. Great. All right, you like it so far? How long are you here for now? Okay. If you need any help, call me in Sandra. We're in the book. All right, so if you need any help with anything. I think I gave Rabbi Carpel his first job. Right? Young Israel, Staten Island, youth leader. That was your first job after you got married, right? And I think, yeah? That is correct. See that? You got to behave yourself. You never know what you run into later in life. All right, let's start. So I usually open up the shiurim with a small little joke. So I'll tell you a first joke, set the mood, okay? Rebbe one day says to his kids, fourth grade Rebbe, says to them, you know, recess time, we have a nice little spread prepared for you on recess, down in the gym or the lunchroom, wherever it was. So that's where we're going to go recess. So the kids walk down recess, and there's a big, big table set up there, a whole bunch of beautifully shining, polished apples. There's a sign there on the table that says, "Make a bracha, take only one apple, because Hashem is watching you." And further on down in the gym, in the corner of the gym, there's another whole table set up with chocolate chip cookies. And some wise guy, fourth grade kid, put a sign there that says, "Take all you want, Hakadosh Baruch Hu is watching the apples." So that's the little joke. Okay. So, want to continue to share from where we left off last week. Last week we spoke about, the title of this year is the the development, the rise, the fall of the Davidic dynasty. And I chose to go all the way back to Leah, who's Yehuda himself, who's the head of the Davidic dynasty, because we never know where it comes from. And last week we spoke extensively about the stress that was present in Yaakov's house, because he had 2 wives, and apparently there was some feeling of opinion that the 2 wives, there was some tension between the 2 of them. That tension spilled over into the house of Yaakov, and it affected the way the kids were affected by the way their parents treated each other. And from that point on, the long-standing, I guess, probably almost 2,000-year history of the enmity between the Bnei Rachel and the Bnei Leah probably can trace itself too. So we spoke about the relationship last week between Yaakov, between Rachel, between Leah, and what the kids saw. Today, I want to get more into focusing on what was the relationship between Yaakov and his sons. Ultimately, we're leading to the whole issue of Bechiras Chametz. Bechiras Yosef, pardon me. I knew I was going to do that. Into Bechiras Yosef. And it's a very, very nuanced story. And I hope I can take you through this today, just on Bechiras Yosef, and give you some new insights into the story. It's exactly what happened. And then from there, we'll be able to go on towards the end of this year and try to make an assessment of Yehuda, who was a prime player in that whole Bechiras Yosef story, and just exactly what we think of him at this point. In other words, I'll ask you a question at the end. If Yehuda came out into your house for a shidduch for your daughter, what would you say after he did what he did? Okay, so that's what we'll discuss. Okay, so I want to run through the story. We all know it. We all tend to somewhat trivialize it. If I asked anybody in the room, or I'm listening at the ships at sea, if I asked anybody exactly why the brothers didn't like Yosef and didn't get along, almost everybody in the room will say, yeah, because his father made him a special coat, and his father favored him. But I want to suggest to you that the story is deeper and more nuanced than a coat and favoritism. So first, I want to go through the story very, very quickly, just to give you an idea, and people listening at home an idea. And then we'll go back, like we usually do, and we'll take the story apart, pasuk by pasuk, and we'll try to examine all the deep parts of the story. So it's Bereshis, Pashas Vayeshev, chapter 37 is the story. Read it very, very quickly. You have the English translation. Most of you, Vayeshev, Yaakov, Yaris Migurei Aviv, Yaris Canaan. Yaakov came back to Canaan after many, many years of living with Laban. Okay, and he wanted to finally get some peace. Then it starts off, Elah Toldos Yaakov. This is the generation, or these are the children, or this is the story of Yaakov. It jumps to Yosef, which was Shana. Yosef was 17 years old. He had a job, and he used to hang around with B'nai Bilha, B'nai Zilpa, and Sheyabir. He used to hang around with the children of the servants. Those were his buddies. Okay? By Yosef is the bosom well of Behem. Yosef spoke, for want of a better word, Lashon Hara. He brought stories that the B'nai Leah were not behaving properly. Find out what they were doing was really not important. It's the issue of bringing Lashon Hara. Yisrael Havas Yosef and Banav, and Yaakov loved Yosef over and above all his children. Because he was born to him in his old age, and apparently he took care of him. He also loved Saras Pasim. He made him a Ikison's passive. Okay? Coat, we'll say a technicolor coat. Yosef used technicolor dream coat. Okay, but you know what Chav, ki Yosef, the kids see that Yosef is loved more than all of the others by their father, by Yisnavu. So that turns into hate. Okay? They couldn't have a civilized conversation one with another. Yosef has dreams. Tells him his brother. Yosef wants to know so. And that increases the hatred. He tells him what the dream was. One is the sheaves bowing down. The kids say to him, does this mean that you're going to try to rule over us, that you want to be our leader? And those dreams by Yosef was to also, the hatred increased. He has a second dream, and then he tells it to his brothers, and he tells them that the dream is, there's the sun, the moon, 11 stars, they all bow down to me. And he says, tells it to his father and his brothers. His father, Vayigar is a very difficult word really to get an accurate translation. I'll turn to my Hebrew expert, Ada Vayigarlo. You think it's a rebuke? It doesn't say he was angry, it say he was angry. Vayigarlo is whatever, okay? And the father is a little bit concerned. So are you in fact saying that there's going to become a time where your father, your mother, we're all going to bow down to you? Okay? Children became now jealous, the brothers became jealous. Interesting, before by Yigapo, and now the Aviv Shomares Hadobo. What's the difference? Okay? So that's why I want to say by Yigapo maybe does not mean he rebuked him, but there was something else going on. So Aviv Shomares Hadobo. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So that basically is the story that sets up the background of Mechiras Yosef. Okay? Now what I want to say to you now, I want to go back, and then we'll get to Mechiras Yosef itself. But I want to go back, and I want to take Psukim apart, one by one. First question I have for you is what was going on in Yaakov's house? What was really going on there? I mean, we know in many instances that no matter how much we, as parents, lead our children, become parents to our children, I want to say almost every parent probably has, for want of a better word, a favorite child. Not a child that they like better than other children, okay? But they have somehow, you know what I'm getting at, right? One child is, okay? But the beauty of it all in good parenting is that when you have a child that somehow you think, in your mind is really like your favorite child, you don't show it to the other kids, right? That's the whole secret. Because if the kids find out that, people like Johnny more than Jimmy, it's going to cause problems. So parents fight to try to say, let's treat all our kids equally, right? Treat all the kids equally, give them the same allowance, we'll buy them the same suit that they need, we'll get the same nice school for them, okay? All right. So obviously, somehow here, there's where Yaakov goes wrong, okay? Yaakov somehow cannot, the sin was, not the sin, the failing, for want of a better word, when I talk about the others, it's hard to say failings, but the failing in this parenting seemed to be that he very, very visibly showed the favoritism to one child over the other. Okay? And that the others picked up on it. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Okay? Yaakov Avinu, okay? He certainly knew as much about parenting as we did. Why would he do something like this? Why would he create this emotional rift in his house? And having created it, why would he do nothing to realize what was going on and to stamp it out? Okay? So that's the long-term question, which hopefully at the end of this year we'll get to an answer. The question really is, what was Yaakov thinking? I thought you wanted to say something?
No, you have to realize that he was Yaakov, Rachel, didn't have children for so many years, so that's the...
You are 1,000% correct. The question is, how does this sit with all the other 11 children? And look what it caused.
It's not justified, but you have to understand.
How does Yaakov deal with all the other 11 children? Look what it caused. Okay? Was there a better way of Yaakov to deal with this? Last week they gave me a big look at the end that my mask fell below my nose. So if my mask is falling below my nose, please let me know. Okay. So let's go back. Okay? Yes, Bob.
Yaakov saw his own house and his father favored his brother over him, so he was just learning that maybe this is the way Hashem.
Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. But if Yaakov has any brains, and he does have brains, he realizes that Yitzchak and his mother Rivka favoring one child, look what it caused. He says, you know, I ain't going to repeat that. I'm not going to do that all over again. What does he do? He repeats it, correct? Okay, so that's the
Marty.
other way. Yes, he saw it in his house. So if he saw it in his house, possibly it could be a learning experience for him to say, okay, I'm not going to do it now.
How many of us that will never do our parents?
All of us, okay? It doesn't make us. Carla?
Marty.
1 second, yeah. Carlos said he talked to everybody about his dreams. I was told also to repeat all the questions for the people watching on Zoom so they can hear. Okay. Hello, Sandra. Here's my lovely wife. Okay, it's my mask over my nose. Okay. All right, so let's go back and take, so did you want to say something, Speak? Okay, so Tzvi Karpel, Rabbi Tzvi Karpel is suggesting that Yaakov knew what he was doing because he saw that this is the way it had to play out. So I'll answer the question very simply. If this is the way it had to play out, how come Yaakov didn't know for 22 years where his son was? He thought he was dead. Okay, so let's go take the psukim, let's take them apart. First, I want to suggest to you all the enmity, all the anger, all the mistakes that have happened just in this one little pasha up to Sheni. And the Torah really pours it on. So let's do this. Ela Tolos Yaakov. Okay, what's your first question? Yosef ben Shvais Veshana. Is that the Tolos Yaakov? No. Yaakov had 11, 12 sons, right? 11 other sons. With the counting Dinah, he had 12 children. So right away, after telling you, with the Ela Tolos Yaakov, Yosef, ben Shvais Veshana. What happened to all the other children, okay? Number one. Number two, so 17 years old, quote unquote. Maybe he should have known better. Maybe he should have shown a little bit more respect for his older brothers. Okay, Hayaroas Chabatzon, the Lunar is being built up as before the Shayla Aviv. Yahweh Yosef is the Bossam Roha Elavihem. Grievance number one from the brothers. He told Lashon Hara about them. Obviously, when you're out playing around with the sheep, you're away from home, you're sleeping out at night, whatever it might have been. Allegedly, Chazal say that the affair was that the brothers were eating over in Achai, which is very hard to believe. Some Chazal say that the brothers may not have been sexually pure, being out there, or whatever it was. As Bob Bromberg will tell you, Lashon Hara. Number one, Lashon Hara kills and it brings problems, and here it is. That's grievance number one. Yisrael Ahavas Yosef we call one half. Grievance number two. I said to you, Yaakov couldn't hide it. Couldn't hide it. He showed open love to his brothers, the other children. Grievance number two that the kids had. He also lo kisones pasim, and he made for him a kisones pasim. So big deal. I took you to the men's warehouse and I bought you a beautiful coat, and the other brothers didn't get such a nice coat. What's the problem with them making kisones pasim, which is grievance number three? But it's a special coat, so what?
The question is, why does it change when Yaakov to Israel?
Oh, okay, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, okay? Ada's question is, why does the text change constantly from Yaakov to Yosef? I told her the answer is, I don't know. The Kisonas pasim to the brothers must have represented something over and above the normal line of clothing. Because when they finally throw Yosef into the bowl, what did they do? They bring the Kisonas pasim back to Yosef. So obviously the Kisonas pasim, all of Chazal say that this was a special coat that, later on, the kings have special clothing. This was special clothing that Yaakov made for Yosef to indicate that this was some sort of a royal garment. Okay? Let's leave it at that for one better. So that's number three. Okay? Now, the showing of love to one child over and above the other, look how the Torah is piling it on. It morphed into hate. Okay? Hate. Right? Now, sinner is a very, very difficult word. It doesn't appear much in the Torah. Okay? And what did this do? There could be no civil discourse in the house. Couldn't get along with each other. I guess I said good morning, leave me alone, whatever it was. Now I'm sure Yaakov, going back to this, was not unaware that this was going on in the house. Okay? I don't know how you live peacefully if you have 11 brothers constantly fighting in the house. How do you live? How do you not know? Okay? But apparently, up to this point, we don't have any mention in the Torah at all as to why Yaakov didn't somehow react or try to change the situation for the better. Okay? So I'll get to it. Hopefully, we'll solve that before the end of this year. Okay? And if I don't, we'll do it next week. Okay? Vayachalom Yosef Chalom, not such a big deal, so you have a dream. What was the problem with having the dream? Not even so much the content of the dream, yet dreams, yes, that was a problem. Vayageli Echov. Little Yosef, this 17-year-old kid, feels compelled to tell the brothers the contents of the dream. Why? to lord it over them, to stick it to them as in the vernacular. But that also. By Yom Sifu also. And because, not so much because he has the dream, but because he feels compelled to tell it to them, it increases the hatred. By Yomer Aleihem, and he says, Shimu Noach Halom Azah Shachalamti. Okay? I want to tell you, listen to what's going on. Okay, so we don't know the dreams. And then let's skip a sentence. By Yomer Lechav Hamalov Timloch Aleinu. To you, a 17-year-old kid, proposed to rule over us. Imashal Timshal Banu. Okay? Just as a side from the Hebrew, what's the difference between a Melech and a Moshel? Melech Moshel, what's the difference? Oh, yeah? Okay, so the difference between Melech and a Moshel, Melech rules with the consent or the agreement of the people. Moshel is somebody who rules without the, the agreement of the people. Right? Okay. And so that second dream by Yosef Wotznu also, that second dream increases the anger, increases the hate. Okay. What? Yeah, okay. By Chalom tells them, now he has a second dream, doesn't learn the lesson from the first dream, and he feels compelled to tell it to them again. All right? This time now, the first dream he didn't tell the father about. Now, this dream he's telling the father about. Why? Possibly because the father is in the dream. Okay? All right? Okay, by Sabbath by Yigabo. Okay, and Yaakov is somewhat, we don't know what this word by Yigar means, okay, and he says, what's the problem here? The mother is dead. Yosef's mother is dead for a long time. So what kind of dream is this? Me, your mother, we're all going to bow down to you? Can't be. So by Yigab. Now, we say why did Yaakov rebuke Yosef? Give me what you think, or even anybody listening out there. Why does Yaakov now for the second dream rebuke Yosef? What kind of rebuke was this? What form do you think this rebuke takes place? That doesn't say anything.
What's this idea? This is not right for you to say something.
Okay. Did his father get angry at him? Oh, okay. Okay, so Vayigar Bo Aviv gets into a heart of the story. What kind of rebuke did his father give him? The Torah doesn't tell us. The father could have said, stop it, that's nonsense, okay? Right? Don't do this again. I don't want to hear this. Another form of rebuke is, shh, have your dreams. Okay, you and I maybe know what's going to happen. I understand the dreams. Like somebody said, I saw this with Ruach HaKodesh. You don't have to tell your brothers about it. Be quiet about it. Let's not share it. What's not correct? So what at this point, all right, you brought off the track because I want to concentrate on Yehuda. But at this point, so what is Yaakov thinking? Is he saying that the dream is not true? What is he saying to him exactly? It doesn't say in the text your mother is dead. Huh? Don't publicize it. Or Yosef, look what this is causing in the family. Okay? The key to this is, first time that's mentioned, the hate, the Lashon Hara, the favoritism now morphs into jealousy. And jealousy is a very, very difficult feeling and emotion to overcome, right? Jealousy is really very difficult to overcome. Okay? But yet, the Aviv Shomar es Hadavar. What does that mean, the Aviv Shomar es Hadavar? Because I suspect that the whole key to understanding Bechiras Yosef is the Aviv Shomar es Hadavar. What did you as a child, what would you want the other brothers, at this point, what would they have wanted Yaakov to do? What would they have wanted Yaakov to do to Yosef? Punish him? Yeah. Does he? Huh? Speak to them and tell them to stop it? Right?
He's acting like a spoiled child.
Did you want to say something?
He's acting like just a spoiled child.
He's acting like a spoiled child. But what the question is, so what would you want Yaakov to do about it? And does Yaakov do anything about it?
No.
If you look at Rashi, which I didn't prepare for you, look at Chazal, Yaakov wanted Yosef's dreams to come true. Yaakov, you look at the Rashi, I should have put the Rashi in here, but the Rashi quoting the Medrash said Yaakov waited until the time that Yosef's dreams would come true. And this is what set off the brothers. Yaakov Shomar es Hadavar. And we'll see why. Why would this set off the brothers? Why? Up to this point, what's the history of Bnei Israel? Because we're only dealing with Abraham and Yitzchak. What's the history? There's a whole concept of Bechor, right? Who is going to be the Bechor? This was a battle of nothing more than who is going to be the Bechor, which was not a trivial thing. And why is this important? Abraham had two children, right? He had Yitzchak, he had Yishmael. By all rights, who should have been the next generation? Huh? Shmuel, right? Who got it? Yaakov. Who got Yitzchak, right? Next generation. Yitzchak has two children. He's got Esau and he's got Yaakov. By all rights, who should have gotten it? Who got it? Yaakov, second generation, right? Youngest one. Which is, but he got it, right? Got the bracha. Got about how it took place. He got the bracha, right? How does this show to the third generation? History is repeating itself. History is repeating himself. Here it's Yosef. I got 11 brothers, 10 brothers that are older than him. And history is repeating himself, which wouldn't have been so bad. But analyze this. What always happened to the child that was rejected from being the Bechor? They were written out of Jewish history. Yishmael has no place, in fact, in Jewish history. Esau has no place, in fact, in Jewish history. So now the brothers see this, that now apparently Yaakov, from what he learned at the feet of his grandfather Abraham, what he learned at the feet of his grandfather Yitzchak, history is repeating itself again. The youngest is taking charge, which maybe we could live with. Maybe we could live with this. But the question for us, the 11 brothers, is, are we going to be written out of history like Ishmael was, like Esau was? Or will we continue to be in Jewish history just playing a lesser role. In any way, in any event, there's a level of uncertainty on the part of the 10 brothers as to what their role is going to be going forward. Maybe they could have lived with the father favoring Yosef. Maybe they could have lived with all the strife and the stuff in the house. Maybe they could have lived with the divorce role. The question came down to them, are they being written out of Jewish history?
But you
What's
know,
the future going to be for them?
but you know, Marty,
Yes.
the problem is with that premise that Ruvain wasn't going to be the Bechor anyway, right? Because
I don't know.
and
Go ahead.
and also Hashem promised both to Ishmael and to
That they would be great people on their own.
and in fact, if Edom is all of Christianity and Ishmael
I
is
understand,
all
but they weren't of Sarah. They weren't going to be Jewish. They were going to be written out of Jewish history.
if they would have wanted to be Jewish, there wouldn't have been a problem. But
Wanted to be Jew. Maybe the fact that they rejected Judaism was because they were written out.
well, you know, it depends whether you listen to the Midrash, where Abraham never stopped loving Ishmael.
That is correct. Abraham never stopped loving Ishmael, but nevertheless, it didn't help. He got written out.
And Esav was always Yitzchak's favorite. So,
Okay.
you know.
All right. So Sarah, just people can't hear Sarah. Just let me just paraphrase. Sarah disagrees pretty much with what I said, and she's advancing the theory that Esav and Ishmael on their own became great people. Abraham never stopped loving Ishmael. I don't know about Yitzchak's relationship with Esav, so we'll leave that as a minority opinion. We'll put it into the minutes that Sarah Lazarus has disagreed with me. It doesn't make her a bad person. It just makes her a person who disagreed with me. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so let's review. The question for now for the children, for the sons are, what does this in fact mean that Yosef is going to be the leader? And how does Yosef's being the leader affect them? Are they going to be written out of Jewish history? Or will they play in the future? They'll just have some minor roles to play. Okay? What was Yaakov thinking of all? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Key question which I was getting to. Caller has raised the question, if Yaakov loves Yosef more than all of the children, why does he send him into danger on this dangerous mission? I'll get to it in about 5 or 6 minutes, okay? All right. First, we need to think what Yaakov was thinking. Okay? What was Yaakov really thinking? Why? The question becomes, all right, the question I asked you here, go ahead. It's a lot louder. Okay, so the point is, question is, okay, there was some back and forth here. I want to go on, all right? I want to share whatever. Okay? Where is Yaakov coming from? Did Yaakov really think that Yosef was going to be his successor? Yosef was going to be his successor. So I want to read you an insight from the Rav, from Rav Soloveitchik, who just exactly asked this question. What was Yaakov thinking? What was Yaakov thinking? And Yaakov takes, and the Rav takes this all the way back to say that since he was the Bechor from his most favored wife. He was going, in fact, to be the next leader. He brings the following, here's the Rab's wisdom. This week we'll read in the Pasha, okay, very quickly, Yaakov has 10 children. Rachel doesn't give birth, all of a sudden she gives birth. Vayehi kasher ro'a Yaakov ki yoldo Rachel et Yosef. As soon as Yaakov sees that Rachel's given birth to Yosef, all of a sudden Yaakov comes up with the idea, it's time for me to go home. He gets up and he says, Shalcheni Torah Yelcha v'Yarakol Yotzi. It's time for me to go home. Why was it all of a sudden? Forget about how that looked with the rest of the kids. 10 of them were born. Yaakov's still hanging around in Padan Aram with Lavan. And all of a sudden now Yosef is born, and Yaakov now realizes it's time for me to go home. Time for me to go back to Eretz Israel. Why? What's going on here? He can face who? He's got this little baby Yosef. How does this make him face his brother Esau? Okay, so here's the Rab's insight into this, and it's really astounding because it's so simplistic, and yet it's so deep and enlightens us to the whole story. Yaakov based his decision, okay, on going all the way back to the Bris Bein Hapsorim, all the way back to the Bris Bein Hapsorim that Kodesh Baruch Hu has with Abraham. Let me read it to you. Good orders, we have notes. Okay. All right. Bris Bein Hapsorim says, okay. Bris Bein Hapsorim. Okay. Can't find my notes, but it says as follows. Kodesh Baruch Hu one day appears to Abraham, says to him, Yodoa Teda, Ki Gei Zaracha, Eretz Lo Lahem, Va'avodu, Va'yu Osam. Games HaGoya Shayavodu Don Anochi, Yachrid Sein, Yetzu Gechush Kadol. Yachrei Chei Gedol V'hi, Yashuvu Heinu. Ki Lo Shalem Avon Moriat Heinu. That's the cost. Those are 3 or 4 psukim. Yaakov is reliving this Bris Bein Hapsorim. He knows about it. Why? Because Abraham told Yitzchak, and Yitzchak told Yaakov. So this is, the family law. It's embedded into the family. Now, when Hashem appears to Abraham, we all knew later, further on, that what are they talking about? They're talking about Mitzrayim, right? But our Kodesh Baruch Hu never says to Abraham, never says to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, that what he really means Mitzrayim. Doesn't say that. Now let's take a look at how Yaakov perceives himself. Is Yaakov, is he in a land of Eretz Lo Lahem? Actually, absolutely. Where is he? He's with Lavan, in Padan Aram. Right? Was there a level of servitude in Inu serving with Lavan? Yaakov says it point blank. We see in his Pasha. Okay? The Achret saying Yetzu B'chush Gadol. Does Yaakov leave Lavan's house with a tremendous amount of wealth? He came there penniless. He came there with nothing. So all those 3 requirements, Yaakov thinks they're talking about him. They're talking about him. It's not me. This is the Rab saying this about salvation. They're talking about him. Look, if his calculation is correct, Who is the Dor Revi'i? The Dor Revi'i is 1, Abraham, 2, Yitzchak, 3, Yaakov, and 4, Yosef. Yosef is the Dor Revi'i. The Dor Revi'i Yoshuvu Heno. As soon as Yosef is born, this thing crystallizes in Yaakov's mind. And he says, this is the promise. This is the promise that God made to Abraham. It's coming true. All the requirements are there. I worked hard. I'm in a land that doesn't belong to me. I'm getting out of here pretty wealthy. Time for me to go home, fulfill the promise. Yaakov thought that this promise was fulfilled with Yosef. He didn't have the urge to go home with all the other children. As soon as Yosef is born, all of a sudden, okay? Don't argue with me, that's the role. I hope I explained it to you well.
That's a wonderful switch. But don't forget that Yaakov promised Lavan that he will work when of hell 7 shanim, and because he switched over, he had to work another 7 shanim, and now you have to 14 years over.
So what does that got to do with all of it?
Because after the 14 years, he said, now I'm going home.
No, it's after the 20 years, but okay.
Oh, okay. So,
Whatever. So what? So again, there's a couple of Chazal that say that Yaakov really got punished. He got punished. What was the command that his mother gave him and his father gave him? Go to Levine, take a wife, and come home. Yaakov never sees his mother again. Why? He got punished. He should have gotten the wife, fulfilled the parents' obligation, and gone home. Instead, he was there for 20 years. There were excuses. They gave him the wrong wife and whatever. But his parents told him, get a wife and come home. And he didn't. They say, huh? What do you mean, I'll stand for you? But she never expected him to be gone. He was gone much more than 22 years. Because the time he said, no. Now just listen, okay? First, he went to learn in the yeshiva Shem Ve'eva. That doesn't count because he was learning Torah, okay? I don't know how many years he spent there, but he spent several years there. Question Bob Bromberg asked me once was the yeshiva Shem Ve'eva, what was the curriculum there? What did he major in? I don't know, okay? But, okay? 7 years for Rachel, 7 years for Leah is 14, 6 years more to get the wealth of Lavan, that's 20 years, and it took him 18, when he crossed into Eretz Yisrael, it took him another 2 years to get to his parents' house. He stopped off, yes, please. He stopped off at Beisel, he stopped off at Sukkot, he did a lot of things, but he didn't go home. 22 years, plus the time he spent in the Yeshiva Shem Ve'eva, he had no contact with his parents. All right, that's just a little cycle, all right? So, we're getting far ahead. So, Charlie? I can't hear you, Charlie. Yes. Oh yeah? How did he know? You gotta bring me proof of that. It's logical? Logical, I mean, it's right. What Charlie is saying that Yaakov, when he sent Yosef to find his brothers, knew he wasn't coming back for a while. Okay, you'll have to bring me some proof. I'm willing to have my mind changed. Okay. So the brothers now, let's see where we are, because I'm fell way behind. I got another 10 minutes, and then they're going to shut me off. The brothers now realize that what's at stake here is not a simple thing over dad loving one more than the other, or dad making a coat for somebody and not a coat for them. What's really at stake here is how Yaakov feels about the future of the 10 other children other than Yosef, and what their role in the future is going to be. And that's not small potatoes, okay? Does it justify what they're ultimately going to do? No, my attempt is not to justify ultimately what the brothers do to Yosef. It's to maybe to get some insight into the story, that the story is not as simple as we learned it in the 4th grade or the 6th grade or whatever we learned the story, that Yaakov loved his son Yosef more than the others, and he made him a beautiful coat, and the others didn't get it, and he took their allowance away, and blah, 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 blah. It's a more nuanced, difficult story, okay? Any questions into where we are right now? Okay? So, speak. Okay, Tzvi is suggesting that as we come to the next portion, that Yaakov realizes doing some tshuva because he's sending Yosef somehow to find out if he can restore some shalom. But I'm going to argue exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. Okay? Okay. Question now is, I'll raise it again, but I'm not going to answer it now. We have all this dysfunction, for want of a better word, all this strife, all this jealousy, all this anger in the house. Why does Yaakov then, knowing all of this, send Yosef into the valley of the jaws of death? Okay? He sends him on almost like a mission impossible. Does Yaakov really, really believe that this 17-year-old kid, with all that's going on, is going to restore peace in the family? And look at the reason that Yaakov gives to send him. To see how the flocks are doing? I mean, is this really a reason to send the child that you love allegedly the most, who you think is going to succeed you, to see how your flocks are doing? The brothers were capable. That was reason number one. The other reason that Yaakov gives, he says, Shlom Achecha, see how your brothers are doing. It could be a reason to send them, but again, does Yaakov think that after all these years sending Yosef to find his brothers is in fact out of the parental house to be able to settle all the things that are nagging at the family, that are tearing the family apart? It's preposterous, right? So the question then stands, which I think we'll have to answer next week. Okay. What was Yaakov thinking? What was Yaakov thinking? Okay? So let's go in the 5-6 minutes I still have left. Let's get into the story. No, because to answer the question, I have to go, right? So, okay? Let's go. Vayelchu echav. So the children go, L'ros es son avihem b'Shechem. Okay? Yaakov was a rich man. Probably the brothers were rich also. They had tremendous flock. Okay? So they decide, to go to Shechem. Right? Now, Shechem of all places. Shechem has a very, very bad connotation. in Jewish history. Very big. Up until this point, what do we know that just recently happened in Shechem? What do we know that happened in Shechem?
Dina.
Right, the sons of Yaakov, that basically Shimon and Levi, wiped out a good portion of the male population of Shechem, right? So to make the question even more difficult, look where Yaakov is sending Yosef, who had nothing to do with the whole Shechem story. He says to him, "Alo achechem roem b'Shechem." I'm sending you to Shechem. Not only is he sending you to a place where your brothers can do you in, but he's sending you into an environment that, for what in today's vernacular, is probably a very anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish place to go. Right? Shechem, of all places. That happened just the parsha before by Yishlach. Dinah gets abducted, she gets raped by the people of Shechem. Negotiations go on, whatever it might be, and Shimon and Levi take revenge. They wipe out a good deal of the male population. So Shechem has it in for them, right? It's not a good place to be. Vayomer Yisrael Yosef. Yisrael says to Yosef, "Lo achecha roem b'Shechem." Your brothers, I happen to know, internet, whatever it was, email, that your brothers are pasturing the sheep in Shechem. I'm going to send you there. Okay? And he says, Hineni. Previously in the Torah, there was one other famous story where a person was sent into a very dangerous situation and answered Hineni. What story was that? At the Akedah. Okay? You know how in my shiur over the years that I do this thing called intertextuality. If words appear in one place and words appear in another place, the two stories somehow we have to look for connection. Story one is telling you to look at story two, and story two is telling you to look at story one. I'll plant one seed right now. A lot of the words, go ahead, whatever you have to do, don't worry about it. Thank you for coming. Got to catch the other one. Okay, so I'll finish this up, one more sentence, and then we'll go on to next week. We're getting here to get to the reason why Yaakov sent Yosef where he did. We're going to have to look back and see the story of the Akedah. I'm not going to run the Akedah through, but there are a lot of similarities between this story and the Akedah. Okay? If Yaakov, okay, the reason, very quickly, I'll leave you with a teaser for next week, we'll develop. The reason why Yaakov sends Yosef to Shechem, because if Yaakov wants to believe that Yosef is the next generation, the same way Avram believed the next generation was Yitzchak, an Akedah type thing will take place. Yitzchak emerged unscathed from it. So if Yosef is to be the true leader, he will also emerge unscathed from this situation. We'll get more next week. Next week we'll do the actual, I guess we never got to the Chiras Yosef. We'll do that next week. Thanks everybody for coming. Any questions? Stay well, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Enjoy children, grandchildren.